Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Star Wars, the Black Series Star Wars The Mandalorian. This is KOSKA Reeves, the legit boss, Sasha Banks, or Mercedes Verando, I think is her last name. But pretty awesome. So looking at the box, we have the window box packaging. One thing that I thought was weird with the KOSKA Reeves figure is why they packaged her with the helmet covering her head sculpt. The bo-katan figure did not do that, right? So bo-katan, we actually have the helmet separated from the figure. Why they didn't do that for KOSKA Reeves, I don't know. I actually thought that was really odd. But very cool that we got the figure. Unfortunately, I don't have a WWE Elite Sasha Banks, or even a basic, I guess, Sasha Banks figure to compare the head sculpts. From what I remember of the Sasha Banks figures that I've seen in stores, I don't think any of them by Mattel are really all that good. Maybe the newest one with her blue hair, I'm not sure which series that is, 80 something. Maybe that's the best one, but I still don't think it's very good likeness, in my opinion. I could be wrong and really don't pay as much attention to that. So, but you guys let me know in your down in the comments below your thoughts on that. But I think this one's definitely going to look like her a lot more. But I haven't seen it in hand yet, which we will take a look at here pretty soon. So you can see here we got the orange coloring because it is based off of the Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian, Star Wars, The Mandalorian. We get that artwork there on the side. And again, these images all kind of connect to each other. So I don't know which one goes, let's see, number 10. She's number 12. I don't know what number 11 is to kind of put it in there. So it would kind of look like that. Yeah, I'm only collecting like Mandalorian characters from the Star Wars Black Series. I'm not a big Black Series guy, but certain figures I just have to have. So I have all the Mandalorian figures, characters from the Mandalorian show. Outside of that, it's just going to be like retro figures for me. Looking at the back of the package, we see that it is number 12 in the Mandalorian line. The bio for KOSKA Reeves reads, a master of hand-to-hand combat, KOSKA Reeves is loyal to bo-katan and is a member of a band of Clan Kryze Mandalorians striking back at the Imperial Remnant. So pretty cool. Nothing over there. Let's get her out of the packaging. Okay, and here's the KOSKA Reeves figure out of the packaging, and actually, I'm actually really disappointed in this figure. A couple of things that Hasbro really cheaped out on, which really sucks, and then the head sculpt is not nearly as good as I thought it was going to be, based off of the promo images, where the promo images actually look better, and then the final product, in my opinion, really isn't all that good, and is very disappointing, and kind of sucks that it's the case. But anyway, let's get right to it. The figure looks really good when the helmet is on, but I feel like the helmet is way oversized. Like, it's even bigger than bo-katan's helmet. So why hers is so much larger, I don't know. The figure itself, you know, there's not a whole lot going on to it. I think it's going to be a lot of reuse from the bo-katan figure. So if we got reuse and things like that, why couldn't they have done some of the things with this one that they did with bo-katan, which of course I will kind of show you guys what I'm talking about, and it's mainly going to be in paint applications to the jetpack, but we'll get right into that. But anyway, let's first zoom in on the figure. We'll take a look at all the good stuff, and then we'll look at the bad stuff, such as the head sculpt, which I really thought was going to be good, but no, it's not. Okay, so here's an up-close look at the KOSKA Reeves figure, and you can see the helmet, again, looks very large. For me, it reminds me of like the Cobra Commander hooded look, where it just kind of flares out a little bit on the sides. It's just very large, and the helmet is just so much larger than, like, say, the bo-katan figure. Like, if you put them side by side, maybe it's harder to tell this way. I think this helmet is, you know, stands taller versus the bo-katan one. Maybe it's the blues that are throwing it off. Something just makes it look so much larger to me. And I think, you know, if you do it kind of the side profile, you could kind of see that there. But anyway, let's kind of get into it for the KOSKA Reeves figure. It is almost entirely the same as bo-katan. Obviously, a new helmet, a different head sculpt, but the figure itself, for the most part, is the same. The difference is going to be the holster here and belt. So for KOSKA Reeves, she only gets the holster on one side, so she can only store one of her guns and not the other one, or blaster, or whatever. Bo-katan, you can see she has it on both sides. But the figures are the same, but bo-katan gets a bunch of paint apps. sculpts. You know, we get some weathering on the forearms, which KOSKA Reeves does have. She actually gets some weathering there on the chest plate and stuff like that. So I guess that's cool. But some of the big things here, so you see the blue. So bo-katan will have like this silver Beskar color, where KOSKA Reeves, it's all blue. So like here under the belt, see that blue paint? We get the Beskar silver paint there, but they painted like all around that piece. So like looking at the bottom, but on KOSKA Reeves, they cheapened out like crazy. So you could see the reddish brown of that plastic rubber color there. So they just put the paint right on the top, but didn't paint on the sides of it, and it looks really cheap. The other thing is the jetpack, which is again the same exact jetpack, except look at bo-katan's jetpack and look at KOSKA Reeves. Nice silver paint applied there with some extra blue. We get a lot less blue and none of the silver paint. So we get the dull ass cheap looking gray plastic, which sucks. Like why if you painted this one, why wouldn't you paint this one? It's the same damn figure. Like, where does the money go in this figure compared to this one? Now, I get that bo-katan probably would sell a hell of a lot more than KOSKA Reeves, but still, I mean, that's disappointing as shit. It just looks really cheap. And this was one that I was actually really excited for, and it just really, you know, gets disappointing. Now, the blue that is painted on there does look pretty good, though. I'll give it that. You know, that's pretty good. We get paint on the back, whereas on bo-katan we didn't. So, you know, I guess there's some of that, but I feel like that's really, really minimal. But I also don't really understand how any of that stuff works anyway. So we continue on. Looking at the belt, we at least get some of the paint detail right there in the buckle in the front, similar to bo-katan. And then bo-katan had a lot of the same weathering pattern on the shoulders and the forearms. It's almost like identical. Well, maybe the right is a little bit different, but I think the left is actually like identical weathering. But there's a little bit on there, so it is kind of nice. You know, the clan Kriz, they're out and about and, you know, far from home and everything, and they're getting kind of damaged along as they're trying to bring down the remnants of the Empire. So it makes sense that they would have kind of weathering. You know, they're not going to have perfect armor or anything. They've seen battle and stuff, so that is pretty cool. Here we have the Clan Kriz crest there on the shoulders, and that all looks pretty good. Looking at the rest of it, that nice bright blue throughout. Bo-katan had a nice light blue. We get a little bit of a darker, more royal blue for KOSKA Reeves. And then here, her armor plating pieces on her legs are blue, whereas bo-katan, they were the Beskar silver. But again, essentially the same figures. In terms of accessories, we get two of these blasters. These blasters are the exact same that bo-katan came with. The handle is painted brown, and then the rest of the blasters in a cheap ass gray plastic with no paint to it. I really hate when they do that because it just looks really, really cheap. And then again, she only has a holster on one side there, but the helmet looks pretty good. We get, again, some nice weathering. We get some nice silver paint to kind of show some scuffs and scratches. The viewfinder does come down so she can look at that, so that is pretty cool. But let's remove that, and here we have the Sasha Banks head sculpt. Now, through my viewfinder, it looks a little bit better than it does in hand, but if you notice, there's a lot of glare coming off of it because the plastic looks very, very shiny, which I hate when they do that because it just doesn't look as good. You know, you can get a lot of head sculpts that have a nice flat paint look to him. Like bo-katan isn't the best example of it, but it's not as bad as you can see. There isn't as much glare shining off of it. And then you have, like, with Marvel Legends, like, look at this Obadiah Stane. Like, there's like no glare because it's got a nice matte finish to it. It looks really good. But I mean, KOSKA Reeves, I mean, look at all the shine. And now looking at the from here, there's no way I see Sasha Banks there. Maybe, no. And then straight up, no, it's just not as good. Why is it that the promo images I felt were really strong, looked really good, just like Sasha Banks, but now having it in hand, I'm disappointed. You guys let me know down in the comments below, you know, if you're disappointed, what you think of it. I just don't think it came out looking as good as it really could have been. The hair tie in the back has a nice silver paint to it. The sculpt of the hair is done quite nicely. Just the sculpt of the face is not as nice in my opinion. But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Okay, so for KOSKA Reeves, we're going to take a look at her articulation. So without the helmet, she can look down somewhat. She can look up somewhat. The head is on a dumbbell joint. You're not going to get a whole lot of motion. And then the neck itself is actually a separate piece, so you can get some round circular motion going on in the neck. There's all kinds of head wobble going on that ball peg as well. And then full rotation if that's what you want to do. The shoulder pad kind of goes into the upper torso, so which is kind of nice. So you can get the arm to go up that high there. You can get a full rotation. Of course, there's a swivel at the elbow. It is a single jointed elbow, but it's a little bit of a deep cut to get you right at the 90 degrees. Wrists swivel, and they do hinge. So she has trigger fingers on both hands. So she has vertical hinges on both, not the standard horizontal that most figures get. We have an upper diaphragm joint, which doesn't give you a whole lot of pivot going either way. So going to her left, she can pivot that much. Coming to her right, she can pivot that much. Again, not a whole lot. Going back, very little. Coming forward, very little as well. And then you have a swivel at that diaphragm joint because there's no swivel at the waist. Legs go out that far apart. She can kick forward that far. The leg goes back a little bit, actually. We have an upper thigh cut in there. As you can see, that armor piece extends above, so it moves around nicely on there. We get a single jointed knee, and it's actually a really damn ugly knee. The knee pad is there to kind of hide it, but if you look at it from that point of view, that angle, it just looks really, really bad. But single jointed, which gives us a decent bend, but then we're not going to get the leg to really, hit the back of her leg at all. No calf swivel on her, but we get a foot that hinges all the way down, as you can see. Hinge goes up ever so slightly, but then the shin guard really gets in the way. Ankle pivot and peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So again, should not be new if you have the bo-katan figure. You know what you're getting since it's essentially the same exact thing. If we were to throw the helmet, oh, wrong helmet. We were to throw the helmet on, you can get it and go into all kinds of motion to kind of show some attitude and things like that. And just kind of, wow, and the helmet itself feels real loose on there. It just seems really, really big. But like looking down, she can look down. If you were to get her, and you can't really get her into a flight pose or anything like that. And then you can see her ponytail there kind of sticks out of the back. But again, with the helmet on, it does look pretty good. The head looks a little big, and that's going to be kind of normal when you have something that's going to fit over the head of a head sculpt. Usually like hats and helmets and things like that end up being a little bit larger. But yeah, there she is. Nothing new if you have bo-katan. Okay, and for season 2 of The Mandalorian, here we have our 3 characters that were Mandalorians from that season. Paz Vizsla, which is the heavy Mandalorian, he did not make an appearance in season 2, correct? The armorer did not make an appearance in season 2. So this is really all that we have. Now, part of Clan Kryz, there was another guy. He was Bakshi from Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm sure he's been in some other things that I don't really know. He made the appearance in that first episode, which Bo-Katan was first introduced in The Mandalorian, but then he did not make an appearance in the season finale, which there was no explanation for. He just wasn't there, which I thought was really, really odd. Would have been cool to get him as a figure, but then we're talking, all new mold and things like that, and Hasbro tends to not like to do those sort of things. It's very easy to do KOSKA Reeves because it's the same damn figure, but it would have been pretty cool. So here we'll make a little Paz Vizsla cameo kind of deal. Yeah, but I mean, they look good together. Bo-Katan looks taller. I don't know why it kind of appears that way. I think the helmet sits up a little bit higher because I think just the size of the helmets in general just were a little bit different, and that's kind of what gives us that look. Okay, there is my review. You guys let me know down in the comments below what you think of this figure. Ultimately, I am pretty disappointed, but happy to have the character in figure form because any Mandalorian figures, that's just kind of how I've been collecting any Star Wars Black Series figures. So it's cool, but again, I am disappointed. For those of you guys that collect the WWE Elite figures, or the basic too, I guess, since they are actually the same head sculpts, what do you think of this head sculpt as compared to some of the ones that Mattel has released? I'm curious to know what your guys' thoughts are, because I can't really speak to it as much. I thought this was going to be so good, and I'm left disappointed. I still am not comfortable saying that Mattel has done it better for Sasha Banks. But this for me wasn't good. A lot of it is going to be the fact that it has the shiny plastic that hurts it quite a bit, but then the sculpt isn't quite there for the likeness. The figure is cool, lackluster that we don't get some of the paint that I think we should have gotten on the figure, like the jetpack. That's a huge thing. I mean, I don't know how often you're going to photograph the back of the figure, but you know, not having that paint there is kind of bad in my opinion. But in a lot of the other spots, we get a lot of the same paint that you would see with bo-katan, kind of like that piece right here on the gauntlet. But that blue in the front of the belt piece, how the sides and the bottom, they didn't bother painting with the blue. It really sticks out to me as really being cheap and half-assed. So it is really unfortunate, but again, you guys let me know in the comments below what you think of the figure. Are you happy or disappointed? Do you plan to pick it up? I know that these are kind of hitting Walmarts. My buddy Spawn XD209, he actually found one for me and picked it up. So I really appreciate him. Thank you, Anthony, for grabbing her for me as she falls down. And I have to grab her now. But there it is. You guys let me know. Comments below all your thoughts. If you guys liked the video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.